Hi, dear students, good morning. Welcome to the class. See, we have already learned the poem If. Today, shall we learn a grammar portion related to that? Yes. What was the speciality of the poem If? The poem If is explicitly, it is actually an exploration of if clause. You could see that the poem is rich with if clauses. If clauses are also called as conditional clauses. What is an if clause? Why is it called as a conditional clause? Because if clauses refer to a condition. Therefore, they are called conditional clauses. We use if clause to express a condition, or if clauses express conditions. Therefore, they are also called as conditional clauses. For example, if you study well, you will succeed. What is the condition there? How can you study or how can you succeed? Only if you study well. If you study well, you will succeed. നീ നന്നായി പഠിക്കുന്നു എങ്കിൽ നീ വിജയിക്കും. So what is the meaning of if? If means എങ്കിൽ, or it expresses a condition. Okay. If you pass the test, you will get a certification. If you pass the test, you will get a certification. What is the condition for getting the certification? Pass the test. Only if you pass the test, you will get a certification. So what are if clauses? If clauses are certain clauses, sentences, statements which express a condition. Now, before learning the speciality of if clauses, let's check and examine if clauses in the poem If. Shall we read if clauses in the poem If? Yes. Here is the list of if clauses in our poem. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, if you can wait and not be tired of waiting, if you can dream, if you can think ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിക്കുമെങ്കിൽ, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, if you can bear to hear the truth, if you can make one heap of all your winnings, if you can force your heart and know and sinew. See, various conditions are expressed here, isn't it? And finally, if you could fulfill these conditions, what is the net result according to the poet? Yours is a world, yours is earth and everything that is in it. And you will be a man, my son. Only if you could fulfill these conditions. So what is an if clause? If clauses always express conditions. Okay. If clause. What is a clause? What is a clause then? C-L-A-U-S-E. Clause is a part of the sentence. Isn't it? Yes. Do you agree? Yes. So clause is a part of the sentence that consists of a subject and a verb. It should contain a subject and a verb or a predicate. Predicate means verb with any objects or other modifiers, isn't it? So clause is a part of the sentence which contains a subject and a verb. Part of the sentence meaning group of words, isn't it? So what's a clause? Clause is a group of related words A group of related words, group of words containing a subject and a verb, compulsory. Subject and a verb is compulsory for a clause. What is it? What is a clause then? A group of words containing subject and a verb. In a sentence, we can have more than one clause. You can have a main clause as well as a dependent clause. So clauses are of two types. I hope you got the meaning of the word clause, group of words containing subject and a verb. And we have two types of clauses. First one, main clause or independent clause. Independent. It is independent. It can stand by its own. It can stand alone as a sentence and can convey a complete meaning or an idea. That part of a sentence, clause is a part of a sentence, isn't it? So that part of the sentence which can stand by its own and can convey a complete idea is called as main clause. We have also subordinate clause or dependent clause. Dependent, it cannot stand by its own. It cannot convey a complete meaning by its own. It depends upon the main clause for the completion of the idea. And that is a subordinate clause. It cannot stand alone as a sentence. But it is quite useful, but it provides additional information. So both are important in sentence. So what is a subordinate clause? Subordinate clause is a dependent clause that cannot stand by its own, but it provides additional information. And our if clause actually is a dependent clause. For example, if you work hard, you will pass. If you work hard, you will pass. Or if you study well, you will succeed. If you study well, you will succeed. See? In that sentence, you could see two clauses. If you study well, comma, you will succeed. If you study well begins with if, and that is actually an if clause. And you will pass is the main clause. You will pass. You subject will pass the verb. Of course, it's there for a clause. And as that part of the sentence can stand by its own, you will pass conveys a complete idea. Therefore, it is a main clause. And if you study well cannot convey a complete idea. But of course, we have a subject and a verb. You study well. You is a subject and study well is a verb, isn't it? So it conveys, though it cannot convey a complete idea, but it's a clause because we have a subject and a verb, and therefore it's called as a subordinate clause. I hope the clause is clear to you. So we have main clause and subordinate clause. Okay, now let's think about conditional sentences or if clauses or if clause sentences. Usually there are three common patterns of conditional sentences or conditional sentences with if. There are three common patterns of if clauses or conditional clauses or conditional sentences. First, conditional clause. Second, conditional clause. And third, conditional clause. First, conditional clause, which is considered as a possible condition. Second, conditional clause, which is called as an improbable condition. And third, conditional, which is considered to be unfulfilled or impossible condition. So we have three conditional clauses. First conditional, second conditional, and third conditional. Okay, now let's consider the first conditional clause. The first conditional clause is termed or called as a possible condition. Why is it a possible condition? Because it expresses a situation that can really happen at present or in future. The first conditional clause expresses a situation that can really happen. A real situation is expressed here, and it can really happen, or it is possible. It expresses a possible situation, a possible condition. Okay, the first conditional clause expresses a possible condition. It may happen in the present or in the future. A real situation is expressed, a possible situation or a condition is expressed. Therefore, it's called as a first conditional. And now let's think about the form of the verb of the first conditional. See the example. If you work hard, you will pass. What is the condition there? If you work hard, നീ ഹാർഡ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നു എങ്കിൽ you will pass. നീ ജയിക്കും. If you work hard, you will pass. There are two clauses are there. First clause, this particular sentence begins with an if clause. And if clause is followed by the main clause. If you work hard is the first part, and that is a dependent clause or if clause. It begins with the word if. Therefore, it is if clause. And you will pass is the main clause. Okay. So, and what about the verb of the if clause? See, if you work hard. That is if clause, isn't it? The verb is work hard. What about the tense of that verb? The tense is present tense, isn't it? So, the verb in the if clause is in present tense. If the verb in the if clause is in the present tense, what should be the verb in the main clause? The verb in the main clause is in simple future. It is in future tense, simple future. See, what about the verb of the main clause? Which is the main clause? You will pass. You, subject, will, pass, verb. Will, pass. Will is used in future tense. You can either use will, shall, can or may. Okay. So, you will pass, you can pass, you may pass, you shall pass. Will, future. Will plus infinitive. Infinitive, pass. Infinitive is the base form of the verb. Pass is a verb and the base form of the verb. Pass, the base form. Past tense, past, past participle, passed. Pass, past, passed, isn't it? Or write, base form, write, wrote, written. So, what is infinitive? Infinitive meaning the base form. So, what is the form of the verb in this first conditional clause? The verb in the if clause is in present tense. And the verb in the main clause should be in simple future. Okay, if plus present tense equals will or shall or can or may plus infinitive. If clause is in present tense, main clause, what is the form of the verb? Form of the verb in main clause? Will, shall, can, may plus the base form or infinitive. Is it clear to you? Okay. Now let's consider the second conditional clause. This conditional clause is called as an improbable condition or unlikely to be fulfilled. There is no chance. The chance is very, very little. There is no chance. Okay. നടക്കാൻ സാധ്യതയില്ല. Situations will probably never happen at present or future. It will not happen. So, to express the second conditional clause is used to express certain situations or conditions which will probably never happen. It will never happen. Okay. Unlikely to be fulfilled. Unlikely to be fulfilled or improbable situations. സാധ്യതയില്ലാത്ത situations. Now, let's see the example. If you worked hard, you would pass. And what about the form of the verb? If you worked hard, you would pass. Okay. If you worked hard, you would pass. Now, if clause. Yes, which is if clause here? If you worked hard. The verb of the if clause, worked hard. And what about the tense of that? Verb in the if clause is in which tense? Past tense. Work, past tense, worked. And what about the form of the verb of the main clause? The verb in the main clause is in conditional tense. You would pass. or past tense of will is used here. You would pass. So if the verb in the if clause is in past tense, what is the form of the verb in the main clause? Would or should or could or might plus infinitive, base form of the verb. If the verb of the if clause is in past tense, what about the verb of the main clause? Would pass would or should or might plus infinitive. It's clear to you? Okay. Now we have the third conditional clause, and the third conditional is called as impossible. Okay. Unfulfilled situations that didn't happen in the past. നടക്കാതെ പോയ കാര്യങ്ങൾ. Okay. Situations നടക്കാതെ പോയ കാര്യങ്ങൾ. ഫസ്റ്റ് വൺ നടക്കാൻ സാധ്യതയുള്ളത്, സെക്കൻഡ് വൺ സാധ്യതയില്ലാത്തത്, മൂന്നാമത്തത് ഏതാ? നടക്കാതെ പോയ കാര്യങ്ങൾ. ഓക്കെ, അൺഫുൾഫിൽഡ്, ഇംപോസിബിൾ ആണ്, നടക്കാതെ പോയി, ഇനി നടക്കില്ല. ഓക്കെ, സിറ്റുവേഷൻസ് ദാറ്റ് ഡിഡ്ന്റ് ഹാപ്പൻ ഇൻ ദ പാസ്റ്റ്. സി എക്സാമ്പിൾ, ഇഫ് യു ഹാഡ് വർക്ക്ഡ് ഹാർഡ് യു വുഡ് ഹാവ് പാസ്ഡ്. നീ നന്നായി പഠിച്ചിരുന്നുവെങ്കിൽ ജയിക്കുമായിരുന്നു. ഇഫ് യു ഹാഡ് വർക്ക്ഡ് ഹാർഡ്, ഓൾറെഡി ഇത് കഴിഞ്ഞു. ഓക്കെ, so if you had worked hard you would have passed. Now let's see the form of the verb. Form of the verb of if clause. Which is if clause? If you had worked hard. Which is a verb here? Had worked hard. You subject. If you had worked hard. Had worked hard is the verb, isn't it? And what about the tense of that? Had worked hard, past perfect tense. Verb of the if clause is in past perfect tense. So verb of the if clause is in past perfect tense. Then what about the verb of the main clause? The main clause should also be in perfect tense. So therefore we have to say it is in perfect conditional, or the form of the verb of the main clause is would or should or could or might plus have to make it perfect. Have plus past. Past is the past participle form of the verb, the third form one, not the base form, past participle form. The base form of write, past tense wrote, and the past participle form written. Pass, base form, passed, past tense, again past participle also passed. So which form of the verb is used here? Past participle, or the third form of the verb, is used in the main clause. So the form of the verb, if the verb of the if clause is in past perfect tense, the verb of the main clause is in perfect conditional, or form of the verb is would or should or could or might plus have plus past participle form of the verb. It's clear? So we have three types of if clauses. You may by heart these three examples. Okay, you can learn this very easily if you could by heart the three examples of the three different if clauses. First if clause, if you work hard you will pass. If you worked hard, second one, you would pass. If you had worked hard you would have passed. If you work hard you will pass. If you worked hard you would pass. And if you had worked hard you would have passed. By heart these three examples to learn the three if clauses, and also by heart the three different forms. Okay, if the verb of the if clause is in present tense, the verb of the main clause should be will, shall, can, may plus infinitive. If clause is in past tense, then the main clause should have would, should, could, might plus infinitive. If clause is in past perfect tense, then main clause, the form of the verb of main clause is would, should, could, might plus have plus past participle form of the verb. Okay. See, if clauses can come at the beginning of a sentence. Okay, as well as it can come at the end of a sentence also. The opposite is also possible. See, in these examples and all if clauses, you could see if clauses at the beginning of the sentence. If you had worked hard, the sentence begins with if, followed by main clause, isn't it? So if clause can come at the beginning of a sentence and can be followed by main clause. Or we can begin a sentence with an if statement and it can end with the main statement. A sentence can begin with an if statement and can end with the main statement, or the opposite is also possible. First main clause followed by if clause. We can begin a sentence with the main clause and followed by if clause. Both are possible for the same sentence. You would have passed if you had worked hard, or you would pass if you worked hard, or you will pass if you work hard. So in both equally possible. Okay. So I hope if clause is clear to you. Now we have some exercises here. See, on page number 33, you have an exercise. Let's practice. Complete the story using conditional clauses. The 3 different conditional clauses. Remember the conditional clause by heart it, forms of the verb and all, and do this exercise. Ready to do the exercise? Shall I read it for you? Okay, let's discuss exercise. Take page number 33. Let's practice. Would you like to know the story of the cat and the mouse? Complete the conditional sentences to get the full story. Once upon a time, a cat bit a mouse's tail off. "Give me back my tail," said the mouse. And the cat said, "Well, I would give your tail back if you fetched me some milk. But that is impossible for a little mouse like you." The mouse, however, went to the cow. "The cat will only give me back my tail if I fetch her some milk." See, you could see if clauses here in the sentences. You have to complete the blank spaces using the correct form of the verbs given in brackets. And the cow said, "Well, I would give you some milk. I would give you some milk." That's the main clause. "If you dash me some hay." Inside the bracket, you could see the verb get. So what's the actual form? The correct form is, if you, it should be in past tense. So if you got me some hay, that's the answer. If you got me some hay. But that is impossible for a little mouse like you. The mouse, however, went to the farmer. "The cat will only give my tail back. The cat will only give my tail back if the cow," it should be in present tense. Will is there in main clause. Therefore, in the if clause, you have to use present tense. "The cow gives me some milk." Again next, and the cow, main clause. "And the cow dash only give brackets me some milk if I get her some hay." If clause is in present tense. Therefore, main clause. In the main clause, you have to use will. Answer is, and the cow will only give. Okay, now I will read it fastly. And the farmer said, "Well, I would give you some hay if you," answer is brought. Okay, past tense. "If you brought me some meat." But that is impossible for a little mouse like you. The mouse, however, went to a butcher. "The cat will only give if the cow," present tense, "gives me some milk. And the cow will only give me some milk if she," present tense of get, "gets some hay. And the farmer dash me some hay if I get him some meat," if is in present tense. So, and the farmer, answer is will only give me some hay. Next paragraph. And the butcher said, "Well, I would give you some meat." Would is there in the main clause. If you have to use the past tense of make. If you made the baker bake a loaf of bread, but it is impossible for a little mouse like you. Next paragraph. The mouse, however, went to a baker. The cat dash my tail back if I fetch her some milk. So present tense is an if clause. You have to use will. The cat will only give is the answer. Next sentence. And the cow will not give me some milk if I don't get her some hay. Answer is the cow will not give. It's, see, the if clause was in present tense. And the farmer will only give me some hay if the butcher, present tense, you have to use present tense because in the main clause you could see will. So if the butcher have, what is here? It's singular, therefore the butcher has. Answer is has. If the butcher has some meat for him. And the butcher will not give me some meat if you, within brackets, you could see the word bake. The butcher will not give me some meat if you dash him a loaf of bread. You have to make it negative. Bake / not is there. So to make it the sentence negative, you have to use do not. If you do not bake him a loaf of bread. And the baker said, well, I dash give within brackets, give you a loaf of bread if you promise never to steal my corn or meal. Okay, so you have to use it is in present tense. So you should use will. Answer is, well, I will give you a loaf of bread if you promise never to steal my corn or meal. The mouse promised not to steal, so the baker gave the mouse a loaf of bread. The mouse gave the butcher the bread. The butcher gave the mouse some meat. Mouse gave the farmer the meat. The farmer gave mouse some hay. The mouse gave the cow the hay. And the cow gave the mouse some milk. The mouse gave the cat the milk, and the cat gave the mouse her tail back. Finally, the mouse got its tail back. That was the story. Now we have one more exercise, but imagine what would have happened otherwise. Okay, so see this paragraph, the whole paragraph is in the third conditional clause, and we have to use the form of the verbs. They are in the third conditional clause. What about third conditional clause? The verb of the if clause is in past perfect tense, isn't it? The form of the verb of the if clause is in past perfect tense. And what about the form of the verb of the main clause? Would, should, could, might plus have plus past participle. Form of the verb of if clause is past perfect. Form of the main clause would or should or could or might plus have plus past participle. Don't forget. Now let's read the answer. If the mouse had not promised never to steal the corn or meal, the baker would not have given the mouse the bread. If the baker dash not give the mouse the bread, the butcher dash refused to give her the meat for the farmer. It should be in past perfect tense. If the baker had not given the mouse the bread, the butcher would have refused. The butcher would plus have plus past participle would have refused. If closer, if the baker had past perfect and had not given. Okay. Now next sentence. If the butcher dash refuse her any meat. If the butcher had refused her any meat, the farmer brackets not be willing to give the mouse the hay. The farmer would not have been willing to give the mouse the hay. Be form of be is there, so be you have to use would not have been willing to give the mouse the hay. If the farmer brackets not be, if the farmer had not been willing to give the mouse the hay, the mouse would not have received the milk from the cow. Last one, if the mouse brackets not receive, if the mouse had not received the milk from the cow, she would not have got back her tail. She would not have got back her tail. Okay, answer this exercise in your textbook. Okay, and you'll have to send me the answers. And I hope you have also done the exercise there of the cohesive devices, the previous class. Complete your notes and you will have to send it to my personal number. I've also given some questions related to the first chapter, Stephen Hawking. Also complete all these exercises and send to my personal number. Thank you.